I bleed Dodger blue.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Bleed Dodger Blue. My name is Jeff Spiegel. Today, I am joined by special guest, Director of Content at ESPN Los Angeles, also one of the hosts of the Blue Review, a show that I am mostly on Monday mornings when I don't forget to set my alarm or something like that. That is none other than Greg Bergman. Greg, thank you for being a guest here on Bleed Dodger Blue.
I've been asking to be on Bleed Dodger Blue since you started Bleed Dodger Blue, and finally we made it happen, so I appreciate you having me on as always. And yes, you did oversleep on Monday.
It's true. And to be clear, I also invited you very early to come on this show, but this guy's so busy and got so many things going on, that we had to work around some things.
Yeah, it was not doing a show in the morning on a Thursday or whatever day when I'm on the morning show at ESPN LA. A little bit difficult to get away. Hey guys, wait 1 second. I'm going to go into my office real fast, record this podcast. I'll be back on the show right after that. No problem.
Yeah, everybody else does that for me, Greg, but it's fine. If I can't get you, that's fine. I'm willing to work with it. But let's talk Dodger baseball. As we sit here today, the Dodgers are 48-27. They have the best record in Major League Baseball. They're 2 wins ahead of the Braves. They have a 9-game lead on the division. We're going to get to my 5 pretty good questions for you in just a moment. But just big picture, are you surprised in any way, shape, or form, given how guys have performed, given injuries, all of that? Are you surprised at all that the team is sitting here 75 games into the season with the best record?
So, not surprised. I don't think surprise is the right way to put it. I just think it's impressive, the fact that they're doing this. They have the best team in baseball. If all things considered, they should win the World Series again. Because they have everything up and down, all around. I was looking at stats the other day. You should be proud of me. I was looking at stats. Now they weren't advanced metrics like you like, but I was looking at stats. They are not only the best hitting team in baseball, they are also not right around the best defensive team in baseball, but they also have the best pitching staff in baseball. They're all 3 phases of the game. They are the best at it, and it's kind of it's not fair to the rest of the team. But to answer your question, no, I'm not surprised. I just think it's impressive because look at what they're doing. They're doing it without Blake Snell. They're doing it without Tyler Glasnow, which we can get into Tyler Glasnow whenever you want and have a nice fun time with that. They're doing it without Edwin Diaz, who you're doing with Kyle Tucker being bad for the most of the year and just kind of starting getting out of it. Bad Mookie Betts. You're doing it where guys are just not hitting out of their minds. Shohei was slow at the plate for his standards. At one point, he had it below 800 OPS. So all of these things considered, they still have the best record in baseball, and they're doing it because Justin Robleski is going deep into games. Emmett Sheehan's going deep into games. Roki Sasaki figured something out.
Yeah.
Eric Lauer is giving you 6 innings and under 3 runs. Like it's amazing what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I like the word impressive because it's not surprising. Obviously, the way this team was constructed, you almost expect them to be. And yet, I do think it's easy to forget that wearing those expectations and having the expectation of like anything less than being the best team in baseball is a failure. And then going out and being the best team in baseball, I think there's something to that. And there's a level this team can get to that they still haven't gotten to, which is what some of these questions are going to dive into. So let's start with one of them. 5 pretty good questions. I like to set the bar low for my guests. The first question is Shohei Ohtani. And I want to ask you, do the Dodgers need to change how they handle Shohei Ohtani moving forward? And the reason I ask that is this. In his first 5 starts, he had a .74 ERA. His last 2 starts now, 8 runs allowed in 12 2/3. He's got a gnarly blister that we've got some grisly photos and videos of him coming off. We know the knee thing. He's not going to pitch enough innings to be in the Cy Young race. So do the Dodgers need to adjust the plan here and give him a break on one side or the other, do you think?
So, yeah, I've been having this conversation a lot, actually, recently. I just got off the phone with somebody that I was having this exact conversation with, because I think there's 2 ways to go about it, because you're right. He's not going to win the Cy Young. I know he wants to win it. He's not going to have enough innings. And even if he did have enough innings, Jeff, he let's say he does get to 162 innings. Well, the other guys in Sanchez and Mizorowski and Bryce Elder or whoever, even Paul Skeens, obviously, they're going to have 50 to 60 more innings than him. They're going to be around 200 or over 200 innings. which is like 8-9 starts.
Yeah.
That's not a small amount of starts. You're talking like 2 months worth of starts that they're going to be better, more than him. And I just don't think he's going to get it because of that. So unless he has just the most amazing year possible where he ends up with a .80 ERA at the end of it, which I don't think is going to happen, that's the only way. So again, to answer your question as I ramble around for a little bit, I think there's 2 ways to go about it, and I wonder which way you think is better. Put him on the IL. Put him on a 15-day IL, just have a 1 stint on it. Let him rest his knee. Let him. They have a big lead in the division. They, like you said, the best record in all of baseball. Let him rest his knee. Let him figure out the blister on his finger. Let that heal, and then bring him back and kind of figure all that stuff out. Or skip a start. Yeah, that's essentially 2 weeks off if you do skip a start, because he pitched today, which is, or I shouldn't say today, but anyway, Wednesday. Wednesday. He pitched Wednesday, and then he'd be off the next week, and wouldn't come back until the next Wednesday. That'd be 2 weeks. Yeah. To let the finger heal. So why don't you just do that and just let him hit?
Yeah. I've wondered that. The IL would be, I think the argument for the IL would be actually let him rest the knee, right? Obviously, if he's hitting, the blister presumably is going to heal and be fine. But the pitching piece is, I think, what seems to be the most taxing and the most, I don't want to say in jeopardy, because he's pitching, like, he's not pitching poorly. That's the irony. It's like Ohtani with this gnarly blister is still pretty good at pitching. But to your point, I mean, he's already 20 to 25 innings behind Sanchez, Mizrowski, Skeens, those types of guys. And we're 75 games into a 162-game series, so season. So I completely agree with you. That gap is only going to grow to 40 or 50 innings. And I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks IL would make sense just to let the knee rest, to let the finger rest, to just get fully 100% healthy. I think what's maybe more likely is they use the All-Star break really strategically, and they say, hey, maybe you're not going to make your last start before the All-Star break, so you almost get 2 weeks off into the All-Star break, the All-Star game. Maybe he takes one at bat, but doesn't pitch, and that kind of let your body heal that way. But it's just interesting because so far, Ohtani, I want to say this correctly, because Ohtani is a freak, and he can do things that nobody else can do. But if they were going to take the same approach with Ohtani they've taken with other players, which is all we care about is the postseason, get yourself right, get yourself healthy, take no chances, I don't think they would just keep running the exact same race they've been running with Ohtani. But I also think Ohtani calls the shots. And what the Dodgers want him to do, if that's different from what he wants to do, I think he's just going to do what he wants to do. And I don't mean that selfishly. He's earned the right to say, this is what I want to do, and you have to trust me. And so far, the Dodgers have been rewarded.
So I think you're absolutely right. It is very much Shohei's choice. If he's like, no, I'm fine, I'm going back out there, and look what he did on Wednesday. He was besides the 1 inning, and that's basically these 2 starts where he has given up the 8 runs. It was 2 innings, innings that had happened. 1 inning in one game, 1 inning in the other game. Everything else was amazingness from Shohei. So he's still pitching really well, to your point, but it's up to him. Like if he wants to keep going out there, he's going to keep going out there, and the Dodgers will be like, okay, he's earned that right. He should, but also I think there's at some point the knee is also a worry, because if that causes a problem down the line and you don't have him for the postseason, was any of it worth it? I don't think so. So I mean, I like your idea. I think it's a really good idea. Just be strategic with the All-Star break. Don't make the first start that's hard going into it. Let him have that whole rest out, and maybe not even let him take the start at the end of that one. Just let him hit. Right. That could be one way to do it, and I think it's a good way to do it.
Speaking of All-Stars, my second pretty good question is, how many All-Stars do we think the Dodgers are going to have? We did get our first update on voting this past week, and here is where some key Dodgers stands. Guys who are winning their position. Freddie Freeman is winning by 68,000 votes at first base. Max Muncy is winning at third base by 600,000 votes. Third base is an absolute landslide for Muncy. Ohtani is the leading vote getter overall. He's winning designated hitter by 300,000. And Andy Pages is the single highest vote getter for outfielders. Those are the 4 guys who are leading. You also have Will Smith second in the catching vote, 300,000 behind Drake Baldwin. Mookie Betts basically neck and neck with CJ Abram, only 12,000 votes behind him. And then Teoscar Hernandez is kind of the only other guy I would say in the mix. He's 5th in outfield. I mean, Ha-Seong Kim is 4th in second base voting, which is just comical. But you look up and down this list, Freeman makes sense. I'm not saying he's been better than Matt Olson, but he's been very, very good. That is name recognition plus being really, really good. Max Muncy, clearly the best third base option in the National League as far as I'm concerned. Ohtani as well. And Andy Pages. Those four seem like locks, both based on name and actual performance on the field. Are you surprised that are you surprised to see Pages atop the vote getting for outfielders?
If you asked me that at the beginning of the season, would Andy Pages be the leading vote getter in the outfield? Yeah, I'd be like, get the hell out of here! You're absolutely lying to yourself.
Maybe among Dodger outfielders or something like that, but not necessarily the entire National
just him
League.
And Teo, right? Is that what we're looking at here? So, but what he's done this year has been phenomenal. Not just offensively, I think he's still leading the league in RBIs, but also defensively. He's one of the best center fielders in baseball. His arm is a cannon. He doesn't make that many mistakes, if any at all. The guy has been phenomenal offensively, defensively. He absolutely deserves that spot, and he will get it. Those four, like you were talking about, those are locks, like dead cold locks. Those four are going.
Look, I love Will Smith and I love Mookie Betts. My positions on those two players is well established. Neither of them deserves to be all-stars, and it's not even close. Will Smith, again, a very distant second behind Drake Baldwin. The fact that Mookie Betts is within 12,000 votes, which is just a very tiny number with Steve J. Abrams, it's like, okay, let's settle down a little bit there. But on the pitching side, like Ohtani already getting in as a designated hitter. Justin Robleski, like, does he deserve to be in this conversation? I believe right now he's 12th in Major League Baseball in ERA. That's not just the National League, but that's both leagues combined. And then I would say the other guy who I think had a slow-ish start, Robleski's 7th in the National League. 5th in the National League, though, is Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who started off good but not great, but has been basically the best pitcher in baseball for the last month and change. Mizorowski and Sanchez belong in the conversation
there's
too.
a Mizorowski guy in Milwaukee just went 104.5 in a complete game. Maddox with one hit.
Touche. But on the pitching side, like Ohtani again, already in. Robleski, Yamamoto, Tanner Scott, do any of those guys belong in the All-Star game in your opinion?
I think Yamamoto for sure belongs in there. If you want to go by numbers, then Robleski should get in there as long as he continues to stay on the track that he was after his last outing, where he was again phenomenal and only left because he had a pitch count. So I think Robleski could make it. I don't know if he will. It might be just a year too early for him. But I think Yamamoto 100% should be. And also the National League has so many good pitchers. I don't know if you can put Robleski in that sense. I would absolutely put Yoshinobu Yamamoto in there. He is, in every sense of the word, the ace of this staff. And I know Shohei is pitching, and he had that below 1 ERA for quite some time. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto is the best pitcher on this staff, and I don't think it's really debatable. I mean, maybe you can try to, but I think you'd be wrong if you did try to debate it. Everything that he's done, remember that at the beginning of the year, the Eric Kratz and Andy McCullough argument about he's not an ace because of whatever, blah, blah, blah. He hasn't done it too many years in a row. Yeah, get out of here. He's the ace of this team, and he's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. So he belongs in there. And then Will Smith, I'm fine with Will Smith not getting there, especially since he's on the IL. Mookie has been amazing defensively, by the way. So Mookie, if you want to go, but just by his offense has been not great, trying to kind of figure it out, but has been pretty bad. So I would be okay with him not being in there as well. But Yamamoto, in.
What about, the two relievers, if you look at the Dodger relief bullpen, Alex Vesia and Tanner Scott are the two Dodgers, according to wins above replacement in the National League, who rank 10th and 11th as the most valuable relief pitchers in the National League. Both have ERAs. Vesia's at 2.7, Tanner Scott at 2.3. Tanner Scott's got 9 saves. I tend to think guys like this get penalized for being on the Dodgers because by the time they go pick bullpen arms, they're like, okay, well, you already have 4 position players. We're giving you Yamamoto on top of it. And, Ohtani's kind of the two-way player. Maybe to me, it feels like Robleski, Alex Vesia, and Tanner Scott will all get penalized because they're like, I'm sorry, we need to go find somebody from, the San Francisco Giants and the Colorado Rockies. So you lose their spot to them. Do you disagree on any of those?
No, I don't disagree on any of this. I mean, Tanner Scott he's had a couple of outings where you're like, oh man, Tanner Scott's back. But I really have been very impressed with Tanner Scott. Alex Vesia, too. We've had this conversation just on Blue Review and just in general that I don't know how he gets the outs that he gets. He throws 90 miles an hour, but it's just this weird windup and, and the velocity change maybe helps him. Whatever it is, he has been great. Wednesday aside, he got the save on Wednesday, but it was a very, very shaky save. I don't know. I'm okay with them not getting in there. I think if they were Colorado Rockies, to your point, or on pick a team, the Florida Marlins or Miami Marlins, I don't know what they are now. If you put them on there, probably they're all-stars. But on the Dodgers, they're not.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of bullpen guys, we're going to go to pretty good question number 3, which is the bullpen. The other night, Justin Robleski gave the Dodgers 6 innings. He was pitching on short rest, blah, blah, blah. They needed 9 outs. They went to 3 guys. Yep. If I told Greg Bergman, everybody's rested, it's Friday's game, you had an off day on Thursday, everybody's rested, it's a 1-run lead heading into the 7th, and I need 3 relief pitchers to get me 3 outs apiece for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Starting in the 9th and working your way through the 8th and the 7th, which 3 guys do you trust the most to get those outs?
Going backwards. Okay.
Like I'm saying, start with your closer, and then tell me who's going to get the 8th and the 7th.
So Tanner Scott is my closer. I think everything that he's shown you, he deserves to be in that spot. In the 8th inning, I'm going Alex Vesia because he just comes up big. I mean, are we just taking away the side of who's coming up? What part of the line?
Forget lefty righty. Just in this case, who do you trust the most?
About lefty right. Like are you seeing 2, 3, 4? Is kind of like that conversation I would be looking more into. But I would probably go Vesia in the 8th and. I go back and forth, but I think at this moment in time, in the 7th inning, I'm going Will Klein. Everything that he's done, he has the stuff to get it. He gets outs when he can get a little wild at times, but I mean, I don't know who else. I mean, Kyle Hurt has been really good too, but I think right now, I'm going Will Klein in that spot. Are you different?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because in that game, they went Klein, Hurt, and Tanner Scott, and those were the 3 guys they chose, and there's probably a number of factors. I'm not saying that's the 3 guys they trusted. But no. Kyle Hurt comes in, I think he threw 10 pitches, all 10 of them were strikes, and was in and out of that. Tanner Scott was dominant. The other name that I'll throw out there is, I consistently am impressed with Edgardo Enriquez. This is not a guy that I was necessarily penciling into high-leverage stuff coming into the year, but I just feel like he has continued to be impressive. The ERA is 3.4. The expected ERA, the FIP, are all much better than that. So he's a guy who probably belongs in that conversation. I know Jack Dreyer has given up 1 million home runs in the last month, which is why he's not in this conversation. But a month ago, he was probably, he might have been number 2 in this group. So I'm with you on Tanner Scott for sure. And then I think it's a conversation of I would consider Vesia, I would consider Klein, I would consider Hurt, and I think I would consider Enriquez. I think would be the 4 guys I would go with.
But that's not answering your question. You asked me a question of 3 guys.
Okay, getting there. It's just it's the slow build here.
Let it breathe. Let it breathe.
I'm with you on Vesia. I think I would probably go Vesia. I might go Vesia in the 7th, just because he has been very good. It doesn't feel like it has been quite as dominant as it has been in the past, and yet he's also given me a couple years worth of sample size. So I'm going to go Alex Vesia in the 7th inning. And you know what? I'm just going to throw a couple bad outings away, and I love what I see from Kyle Hurt. I think the stuff is nasty. I think he fills up the zone. You throw 10 strikes in a row, and I'm like, that's what I want out of my bullpen guy. Because Will Klein came into that same game after Robleski had just been throwing only strikes, and Will Klein, I think it was 6 consecutive balls to come out in the 7th. And I was like, buddy, do not do this. He settles down. But for the sake of being different, I will say Kyle Hurt. But I think Klein, and I would say Enriquez probably more in this conversation than I would have expected.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with what Henriquez has been doing too. And Dreyer has, when he's on and not giving up home runs over and over again, then he would be in this conversation also. But I do think Will Klein, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have my days completely right in my mind, but in the first game on Monday for the against the Rays, it was the same thing. It was Will Klein, Kyle Hurt, and Tanner Scott, and I believe Will Klein was better than Kyle Hurt in those 2 outings. In that outing, so it was flip flopped. If I'm thinking about it correctly,
he got 2 outs on Monday's game. Gave up 1 hit, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts in that one. I'm not sure what Kyle Hurt did in that game, but yeah, I think the point is I think this group has ebbed and flowed exactly who you would trust. But, I mean, Tanner Scott, you feel good about the guy you have in the ninth inning right now. Like, you have to say that.
Which is crazy because he was getting absolutely destroyed last year, and rightfully so. He was bad. He literally said, "I hate this game. Hates me right now." But it always made sense. I think we talked about it in off-season Dodger talk and whatever, if it was this or if it was on Blue Review. But the fact was that if anybody was going to have the makeup season this year, it was going to be Tanner Scott. He was going to return to the form that he was, and he is. I mean, he still gives up every once in a while, but relievers do that. They're volatile, and I think that Tanner Scott has been just fantastic for the most part.
Yeah, Kyle Hurt, by the way, on that Monday game was pretty much the same. One inning, he gave up one hit as well, but he did have 2 strikeouts. So got one extra out, got 2 strikeouts in that one. So, okay, 2 more questions for you. The fourth question I want to go to is trade targets. The trade rumors have started to pick up. We got the Tarek Skubal stuff that, like, I think the baseball media was morally obligated to start discussing the Dodgers and what it would cost them to get Tarek Skubal. In the last few days, my friends, the guys I work with over on All Dodgers, they were talking about, is Luis Arias a guy that the Dodgers should be targeting? I believe I saw Gleyber Torres as a name, another second baseman connected to the Dodgers. Of course, there's bullpen arms that will be out there as well. Let's just start, like, big picture positionally, and then we can talk specific players. But are there any positions that, as it currently stands, you are like, the Dodgers need to solve second base, or they need to go get another starter, or they need to get another reliever?
See, it's the craziest thing, and I've been thinking about this a lot over this year. They don't have that we need this spot, especially when everybody's healthy. Now that Tommy Edman is back, and he's what he becomes, whether he's just a utility guy or whatever it happens to be. The fact is, he can play so many positions, and he can be the second baseman. That's fine. If you need him at second base or third or at left field, wherever, he's going to play it. So I think at second base, that's a really good spot for him. He's a good defender too. I mean, maybe you can upgrade there if you really, really wanted to and wanted to trade Edman at the same time. But I don't know. I don't think that's something they want to do. If you move Teo, which I know is blasphemy, but if you move Teo, I don't know if that's something. I don't think they have a true position of need. It's not the starting pitching. The bullpen, they have guys up and down that they're bringing in, and eventually, when you get to the playoffs, the guys that are not in the rotation are going to go to the bullpen like they kind of did last year. And there's so many guys in the minors that are going to just pop up too and going to do it. So I don't think they have a true position of need.
Yeah.
So maybe second base, maybe left field if you're really pushing me.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, left field's interesting because Teo is actually hitting well right before he got hurt. So if Teo continues to hit, I think that becomes a non-starter. I'm with you on the bullpen. Keep in mind, Edwin Diaz expected back at some point, Evan Phillips, Brock Stewart. And to your point, like, Justin Robleski maybe gets moved to the bullpen at some point. River Ryan or Emmett Sheehan could get moved to the bullpen at some point. So I think they have firepower there as well. Second base seems to be the piece that everyone is focusing in on. And I get it. Like, Alex Freeland has not been very good offensively. It's an 82 weighted runs created plus. He had an RBI single on Wednesday, and then one of the worst at-bats I've ever seen with the bases loaded later in that game. But I think the thing that's nice about the Dodgers at second base is, whether it's him or Edman or even Ha-Seong Kim, is you can at least point to and say, well, it's an elite glove. Like, it's not it's a bad bat. It's not like the worst bat in the league. It's still a guy who's hitting 225, which isn't great, but we've all seen Dodgers we would have killed to have a 225 batting average next to their name. And it is elite defensive glove at second base, whether it's Freeland, Kim, or Tommy Edman. So to me, like, I'll be honest, Luis Arias is just not a name. I get it. Puts the ball in play, bat to ball, blah, blah, blah. I'm out. I'm all good on passing on Luis Arias. Which brings us basically to Skubal. I agree with you. The Dodgers do not need a starting pitcher. But given if they have to pay market rate, would you go and get Tarek Skubal?
I mean, if you're paying market rate, so it's interesting because, yeah, why not? Because it's Tarek Skubal. Because also then there's the whole grandfathering in when it all goes to. If you think that people think that the Dodgers ruined baseball before the season by getting Kyle Tucker, if they get Tarek Skubal, then everybody will just throw their hands up and just give him the World Series trophy right now.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, no, seriously, I'm fine. Give me 3 in a row. Great. And you also have such a plethora of outfielders in the minors that you can move so many of these guys and be totally fine because. Like Josue DePaula, who's in AA, is a really good bat and is ready to be in AAA, or maybe even in the majors. But he's blocked in AAA and he's blocked in the majors. Like there's, and we've seen what James Tibbs has done, and Zach Earhart and Mike Sirota, and all of these guys that are down in AAA, and then there's Alec Thomas and Ryan Ward, who's up with the team right now, is going to go back down eventually. They have so many guys that you can afford to lose some of those in order to get it. I didn't even mention Zaire Hope. So like they have a ton of dudes that they can move on and get Tarik Skubal. So if they wanted to, sure, I could see that happening. What I would ask you is two other guys, but I want to hear what you think on Skubal first.
To me, I think the Dodgers can afford to give up prospects for a guy who's going to be a free agent in 3 months. Which I think makes them unique, and I do think they have the prospects to go and get Skubal. I consistently have said I don't think the price on Skubal is going to be nearly as high as everyone thinks, because I just don't think there's going to be a team desperate enough to give up 2 top 40 prospects in Major League Baseball, or like 4 top 100 prospects in baseball to go get 3 months of Skubal, knowing they then have to pay him $350, $400 million once the season ends. I just think the price is going to go down, which is why I think the Dodgers are going to be in the mix. If it was up to me, I've said, and this sounds crazy, but it's like Tyler Glasnow, who, whatever, we'll see if he ever comes back healthy. All the updates continue to get worse and worse and worse. But, like, is it worth giving up, let's say, River Ryan and Zaire Hope to go get Tarik Skubal to upgrade from Tyler Glasnow to Tarik Skubal for 3 months? Like, is that worth it? To me, the answer is no.
Yeah, I don't think it is either, except for the fact, unless he says, I am 100% re-signing now or right when the season ends to make sure that it happens before we get to the
But then you got to pay him $400 million, and I'm not even sure if that's a good idea. And you could just go sign him after the season anyways if you're going to give him the $400 million. And then you still have River Ryan and Zaire Hope, and you get Tarik Skubal in 3 months.
Right. If that's the way that it's going to be, then sure, I see your point. But also then, if you have that, okay, then you have on your books at least just the 5 starters is Yamamoto, Shohei, Snell, Glasnow, Skubal. Where does River Ryan fit in? You also still have Gavin Stone, who is one of the best pitchers that they had before he got hurt. And then you still have Robleski.
Roki.
And like there's just so many dudes that are just still around.
They'll figure it out.
They're gonna have a 10-man rotation by the time we're done with this.
Let's do it.
So like I get the Skubal thing. I don't think it's necessary to go get Skubal. I would love to have him, but I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, I'm with you. You said you had another question to follow up on that?
Yeah, I think 2 guys that I think are apps. I don't know if they are possible, but would be intriguing, and you'd have to do a lot of movement to make it happen. I'll start with the obvious one that I don't think is anywhere near possible. Bobby Witt.
Yeah, totally. I would give up everything for Bobby Witt if I could, and there's no chance. The Royals are not, literally, they wouldn't even pick up the phone to hang it up. They would see Andrew Friedman's phone number pop up, and they would say, disconnect the phones, light it on fire, change the phone numbers. We're not talking.
He'd break their phone, be like, that's it, I'm changing my number. No Andrew Friedman calling me. Yeah, totally agree with you. But if they did do it, you'd have to move Mookie to second, which, okay. Like you give me Bobby Witt. The other one that I think is actually more possible, and you have to make some movement or maybe add somebody in that you probably wouldn't want to, is Byron Buxton. What would you think of Byron Buxton? You'd probably have to put Teo in the deal and probably one of your better relievers. 32 years old, Twins in the middle of a terrible AL Central, which very easily could move into the top of that division at any point. Yeah. But he's been on fire. He's great defensively. He's a center fielder. You either move Pajes to left, or you just you put Tucker in left, or you put Buxton in left. Whatever you do, you have to figure out how it works. But what would you think of Byron Buxton?
A year ago, I was all in on trading for Byron Buxton. It made all the sense in the world. Now, I'm good because Andy Pajes is a fantastic defensive center fielder. And I don't like you would be paying for one of the best defensive center fielders in Major League Baseball in Byron Buxton, and he would not be able to provide you that value. Either because he'd play center field and be like this much of an upgrade over Andy Pajes, if an upgrade at all, or you have to move him to a corner, which the bat would still play. But I'm good. Like I don't need a center fielder. Andy Pajes has been the transformation he has made defensively in the last 12 months. Is genuinely one of the craziest things I have ever seen on a baseball field, because he was like embarrassingly bad in center field, running in on balls that end up over his head, taking terrible routes, all of it. And like in 12 months, he's become one of the best defensive center fielders in all of Major League Baseball. So love Byron Buxton, the guy, love the bat, love the glove. He just doesn't fit on this team because Andy Pages is the solution to all of those things already. And so I would rather, like, I'm fine with, I mean, sure, he'd be an upgrade over Teo, but like if Teo keeps hitting the way he's hitting, he'd be an upgrade defensively. There's no question there. But I just don't see the reason to go out and pay for that upgrade given how he fits on this team. It's like the Skubal thing. It's like, is Byron Buxton great? Yes. How much better is he than the guy that he would be replacing? And the answer is a little bit, but not a ton.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that's why when we started this off, you asked me, like, where's the position of need?
Yeah.
I don't think it's there. I don't think it exists. There isn't a position of need. And for every position that they have a backup to go to it in case something goes wrong. Like, so no matter what, the only – and I would go maybe catcher, but then you have Dalton Rushing, who's going to be in that spot, and you're fine there. So that's the only the only thing that you don't have – in the minor leagues is a catcher. That's the only thing that doesn't exist, and that's like fully nitpicking. But I don't. So the trade deadline to me, whatever they do is going to be kind of gravy, or it has to be some massive move that's going to like change the entire complexity of the team. And I don't see them doing that. Now, eventually, they're going to have to get younger because this team is old, and this is probably like one of the last years that they can really be this old and be as good as they are. But it's this, so that's why you gotta go all in this year.
Yeah, I could see it. And again, I think a guy like Gleyber Torres, when you look at what he's done offensively over the past few years, you could talk yourself into him being a major offensive upgrade at second base. He would be a massive downgrade defensively at second base, but the offense would probably make up for that. Free agent at the end of this season, I believe. So, and also a guy who's having a great season so far, although he's been on and off the injured list. So you could talk, like, second base is the one that sort of makes sense because I don't think you're expecting Tommy Edman to become an offensive threat. I think Tommy Edman, Alex Freeland, like, you're just hoping, you're crossing your fingers one of those guys can give you league average offense while playing great defense at second base. I think Edman is a utility guy, makes some sense. So I second base maybe, but everywhere else, as it currently stands, unless there's two catastrophic injuries, I think the Dodgers are fine.
Yeah, I mean, and think about in the World Series, who had the biggest hit of the entire thing? Oh, it's just that soft-hitting second baseman, Miguel Rojas. Yeah. So, like it's sometimes it's not about having the most offensive firepower from every position. I feel like having I know second base isn't the all-important position, but what they have defensively, I don't want to lose that. That's how you lose games in the postseason, by bad defense. They did it 2 years in a row. They won the World Series because they were better defensively than the other team.
Yeah, it's a great point. Fifth question, final one. Of the Dodgers who are currently struggling, I've got Will Smith, Kyle Tucker, and Mookie Betts as guys that are having massively disappointing seasons so far, at least on the offensive side of things in 3 cases. You can add somebody else to this list if you want. But if you were going to pick one of these guys that you feel most confident is going to figure it out and turn it around and have a second half that's dramatically better than the first half, who would you pick?
You said Mookie Betts, Kyle Tucker, and who?
Will Smith is the third guy that I have on this list.
So of those, you know what? I completely forgot about Will Smith because this team just keeps winning without Will Smith. It's crazy to say that. I still think he's one of the, if not the best catcher in baseball. I know there's other Contreras has something to say about that, but the fact is, I think he is the guy that would turn it around the most. I know Mookie is kind of starting. He's over 200, so that's a huge thing for him. Kyle Tucker has been starting to turn it around. He's the youngest of all of them and has the longest, has a track record of being better. So he's up to, I think, 241, and he's over 700 OPS. So it's starting to get better. It's little flare shots, which drive me insane. But the fact is, it is starting to get better. But if I had to choose one of those three, it's Will Smith. And I think this time on the IL to get himself fully right is going to be massive help to him because that's how catchers work. They're good early on, and then they start to slow down at the end of the season, and this will just help that all kind of. He wasn't good early on this year, but usually he does pick it up, and I think he is the most. If you want somebody that's going to all of a sudden turn around and be like hitting 320 and having 10, 15 home runs towards the end of the year, it's going to be Will Smith.
Yeah, he's been slightly above league average offensively so far this year. Him and Kyle Tucker, like 104, 106 weighted runs created plus guys, which, again, for most teams, they would love to have a catcher that does that. That's a massively down year for Will Smith. But I'm going to stick with Kyle Tucker. I think all three of these guys are going to have better second halves than they had first halves, to be clear. But I just keep believing Kyle Tucker is too good, and there is not a good enough explanation for why he has been as bad as he has been for me to believe that, like, the guy who was one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball over the last 4 or 5 years just disappeared off the face of the earth coming to Los Angeles. So I think you're starting to see some signs. I think a lot of it is more mental than it is physical. And if he can get that figured out, I think I would go Kyle Tucker would be my pick in this category.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong at all. I mean, he has been starting to pick it up. I think he's had hits in 3 or 4 of his last games, so he's been getting on base. He finally showed a little bit of power again with a 3-run shot the other day, so that was something nice. But everything else has been little flares, little ground balls that just found holes. He's starting to figure it out, and he's putting game by game by game together instead of it being like, here's a good game, here's 5 bad games, here's a good game, here's 3 bad games. So it's starting to pick up for Kyle Tucker. And I totally agree with you that he had, by the end of the year, he's probably going to have close to 25, 30 home runs, and he's going to be like, oh, hey, look, Kyle Tucker's good again. But that's just because that's how it works. But so I agree with that, but I think of the 3 of them, Will Smith is my guy.
Yeah, and it's a great stat, by the way. Five games in a row with a hit for Kyle Tucker, 7 of his last 8 with at least 1 hit, a couple of multi-hit games in there as well, a couple walks. So we'll see. That is 5 pretty good questions with Greg Bergman of ESPN Los Angeles. Greg, I appreciate the time. Remind people where they can find the Blue Review and when and where they can find the Blue Review.
So you can find the Blue Review Monday through Friday on the ESPN LA YouTube page, and it's on from 6:30 to 6:55. And this man right there, actually, it's that man right there. Yeah. It's not mirrored. Look at that.
Well, it might switch sides by the time this actually gets published. So who knows?
This man right here is on every Monday with me and Marcus Grant. So you can find it on the ESPN LA YouTube page, 6:30 to 6:55.
Love it. All right. That is Greg Bergman. Again, we appreciate his time. Thank you to everybody who's watched this. Again, this is Bleed Dodger Blue. A few people have jumped in and supported. We do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Bleed Dodger Blue. If you want to support the show, that's a way to do it. I want to give a shout out to Jay Riff, who hopped in as a diehard member of Bleed Dodger Blue. Thank you to Jay Riff. Thank you to everybody who has hopped in and joined on that. We appreciate everybody for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.
Still champs, baby.